Melaka was my last stop in Malaysia, and I'm not going to lie, I certainly didn't like it. I have been told that this city is already at risk of losing its UNESCO Heritage Site status, and I can understand why. The town has been turned into a theme park and not the good kind. The streets are packed with restaurants and souvenir shops that do not reflect the local culture at all, and even the night market in Jonker Street was a huge disappointment. It really did smell like plastic due to the sheer amount of crappy and cheap souvenirs being sold there. And then there were the street shows, so many of them, with loud music, decorated with famous cartoons such as Hello Kitty, Doraemon, and some Marvel characters. It just seems so out of character, and I actually didn't even see many tourists using this. Melaka used to be one of the oldest trading ports in Southeast Asia for the same reasons as Georgetown. It has a strategic location along the Strait of Malacca with merchants from China, India, and the Middle East meeting at this point, creating yet another melting pot of cultures. Malacca went through 3 waves of European colonization. First the Portuguese, my own ancestors, in 1511, then in 1641 the Dutch, and finally in the 19th century the British. They all left a mark. You can visit the Famosa Fortress, which is a clear Portuguese construction. You can also visit the Dutch Stadhuis, and the influence of the British can be seen in the town's architecture. I quite like the little galleries and shops around the old town, but I have to say, most of them were empty, and I found it very intimidating because the shopkeepers kept a very close eye on me, seemingly scared that I was going to try to steal something, and that's definitely not the best experience either. The Baboon House was definitely my favorite place to go. For meals, I went there twice. I really liked the interior. They had a really extensive menu. It was a fusion between Asian and more European, westernized dishes, which, to be honest, at that point, I was tired of rice and needed this. When I came back from traveling and I was looking through the photos I took of Melaka, I was actually quite impressed because the photos made the city look really nice. And I was questioning myself, did I actually didn't like it, or was it me having just a few bad days? And to be fair to Melaka, I know that at that point I recall feeling physically very tired and getting very easily overwhelmed with crowds. So I had been traveling for 3 months at that point. It was very hot and I was struggling. But I do remember feeling that everything just looked way too artificial, very manicured to kind of appease Instagram and social media, if I'm going to be honest. And even though there's still beautiful architecture for you to admire, you can also see that a lot of these beautiful houses were turned into boutique hotels. There's beautiful street art everywhere, which again, I do feel it was created mostly to attract the tourists. And it's actually sad because in this street art, the identity of the region is very well reflected, but then you look around and you simply don't see any locals. I definitely made a mistake in Melaka. I stayed 3 nights and that was way too much. If you're planning on visiting, I recommend just stay 1 night. That's enough. The old town is really all there is to see and you can do it in 1 day. And also, my other mistake was having stayed outside of the old town. I did that because everything in the old town was actually very pricey. But actually, when you stay outside of the old town, you always have to walk a lot. Melaka, of course, is also very hot and it's not walkable at all. So just bear that in mind if you're planning on visiting. That's all for today, folks. So thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you soon on my next video.